Hello anyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where if you've been trying to follow this series on my channel, I feel like I should apologise. Life kind of kicked me in the chest for a while. I did get fairly seriously ill for a few weeks, and then spent some time with my family, and then I got back and work was crazy, so it's been a wild couple of months. My apologies for losing this along the way, but I'm finally back and ready to play Case 5. And literally the only thing I know about this is that it goes on forever, so this should be an experience. Oh yes, it's been almost exactly 2 months since I played this, that's embarrassing. But here we go. If I've forgotten everything, forgive me. I'm doing my best. Oh yeah, Hound of the Baskervilles! Excellent!
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was. But not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical Hound of the Baskervilles."
Yeah, let's go! Also, me and Sky were talking about those Sholmes things, and it's just really funny how the narrator manages to say Sholmes all the time without laughing, because I don't know if I could have done that. But anyway, last I checked in, we had started our own offices in 221B Baker Street, so I guess that's where we're picking up. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country. And in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court. Which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. Well, this should be fun. No, there's legal consultancy, that's cute. Who have we got? That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behaviour became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes! Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave the court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. Let's have a look around. That spade has been here since we started renting the place. Oh, that's not a spade, Mr. Naruhodo-san. I'm too used to reading English stuff. Ignore me being a Westerner. It's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. Is this the stepladder debate? I don't want to dig a hole for myself, so let's leave it. I see what you did there, although there is an actual ladder over there you could have used for this, to really tie it in. So this is the tea set that Susato-san brought with her from Japan. Let's hope she hasn't noticed me slipping sugar and milk into my cup when she makes it. It's just so bitter. Tea is a drink to be enjoyed, Naruhodo-san. You really don't have to force yourself to drink it, you know. I don't like to see you screw up your face so. It's spring at last, and the weather is warmer now. But I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, would you like some tea, Naruhodo-san? Thank you, Susato-san, but I'm alright for now. With the green tea Susato-san makes me from time to time, and Iris's unique herbal infusions. This place is paradise for a true tea lover. Green tea is such a wonderful accompaniment to British tea cakes, don't you think? Ah, the Darama doll I brought with me from home. Still with only one eye coloured in. I said I'd colour the other eye once I won my first court case here in Britain, but... But you have one, haven't you? Twice, in fact. Because I feel as though I'm still lacking as a lawyer. I tell you what, why don't you colour the eye in once you think I'm a proper, fully fledged lawyer? If you insist. Okay, wonder if that'll change at some point. We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Susato-san, I always say, making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies. And time spent tidying up is a time you can't devote to the same cause. I might take that on myself. And time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She wins, but I'm supposed to be the lawyer here. Do you know, I've never seen inside your room there, Susato-san. I never even peeped inside. I should think so too. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know. Whatever you say, young maiden. We were rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns we put in there are doing rather well, and the anemones too. I kind of love that. It's a wonderful invention, isn't it? The sea behind glass inside your room. Another example of Great Britain's greatness. Having to clean it out and change the water isn't so great though, is it? Ah, this must be the telegram. Let's see. Ah! No, you mustn't look at that! Not under any circumstances! All right, I won't. I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san, but you can be very mischievous at times. Then put the telegram away if you don't want people looking at it. I think that's everything. It means a great deal to me, you know. That you cherish his armband so, and wear it each time you appear in court. Well, it's very important to me. It's what shows that I'm a lawyer. And whenever I wear it, I feel as though it gives me strength, through Kazuma. I absolutely can't be without it, especially when I'm at a critical point in a trial. But just the other day, I noticed you wearing it when we went to visit that park. Sometimes I forget to take it off. That was cuter than I expected from a present your badge moment, but... So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Suzeki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago we had that very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Suzeki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. I wonder if the actual author that Suzeki was based on stayed in London. You mean, as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Okay, fair enough. Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. What is it that they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Suzeki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the City of London, perhaps. Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the Sword of Justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently Lord Van Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. So it's like that, is it? Oh? Yes, since Suzeki-san's trial. He's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials, then. Ugh, just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry, what was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Okay then. Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. I love the background noise. Good morning, Iris. Iris? What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you? I love him. I also love that they didn't actually bother to animate him moving the bow at all. That was a choice. Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Hello. Herlock? Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. A good morning to die, perhaps. Mood. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Why is this such a mood? I love him. Damn this blanched existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble. Cat? Ah! Baby! Oh look, it's Wagahai. Good morning, boy. Oh, I love him! Interesting that it's a he, though, because torties are almost exclusively girls. Isn't Apollo's calico also a boy? Why are these lawyers getting weird cats? I mean, I can't talk because Tranquil Moorcat is a ginger girl, which is also relatively rare, but not as bad as male torties. Anyway, random deep dive into cat gender colourings there. Ignore me. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. Seriously, why is he such a mood today? I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes's desk. Is it his analyze-y thing? Well, this is going well, isn't it? Look at Mr. Sholmes's desk. It's completely clear. Isn't that enormous machine usually on it? We can never hope to understand what goes on in the great detective's mind, Mr. Naruhodo. Why, next time we're invited, we may find he's vacated the entire suite. That's scarily plausible, actually. Ah yes, the letters V and R inscribed on the wall, in bullet holes. Isn't it the initials of the Queen or something? It's so delightful to see it in the flesh, having read about it in the stories. It was so inspiring. I fired 100 arrows into my own wall at home to make the character Fasu of Susato, you know. Super? But perhaps there are some things the Great Detective does that you don't need to copy? There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment. Oh, it's such a charmingly untidy collection of paraphernalia, isn't it? It just looks messy to me, like my desk. But you, Mr. Naruhodo, must learn to tidy up after yourself. No favouritism there, then. The fire's burning comfortingly in the grate again today. It's a very different feeling to a Japanese hibachi somehow. Oh, look at that photographic print of a lady displayed on the mantelpiece. Could it be? Yes, it must be. It's the woman. Oh, how exciting. Is that supposed to mean something to me? Okay. It looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. It seems very sturdy, with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? These are all mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases, I think. If you've been involved in my case, I wonder if the beefsteak from the Carnival will be on display here. A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. I understand the reference of exactly one of those. I really need to catch up on my Sherlock Holmes. Ah, what an entrancing collection. Looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me, rather like what's on my own shelves. Well, you really ought to learn to keep your things in order, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, capture card death number 1. Right. No favoritism there at all. That's where Iris notes down ideas, isn't it? Let's see, what does it say today? Ah, the Boscombe Valley mystery. Oh, how intriguing! It must be the title of Iris' latest work. Oh my! I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us. Susato-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most unsavory crime you can imagine. Yeah, it sounds about right. Iris' beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual. A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain. The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That's the essence of tea. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles too. But the contents of them aren't quite so charming, it seems. Science is the future, Mr. Naruhodo. You can't deny it. I'm saving my money so that I can buy some chemistry apparatus as well. Law, chemistry, takedown throws. What diverse skills you boast, Miss Susato. As useful as they are, I'm not sure that my throwing skills are worthy of inclusion in that list. I'd include them. I like that little terrarium. It's very cute. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Iris doing much writing recently. But there's paper already set up in the typewriter, look, as if she's about to start. That reminds me, when I mentioned that Iris is in the process of writing a full-fledged novel, Mr. Natsume was most impressed. Ah yes, Mr. Natsume. That's what I'll be doing too, once I'm back in Japan, he said through tightly clenched fists and teeth. Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home, then. Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews as empty as the hearts of the muses. Agree to disagree on that one, Sholmes. I mean, they're entitled idiots, but certainly Lonku Fire Emblems will not leave me alone. Anyway. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Yeah, sadly we know that. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Good. I also love Waggy. Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention. Ah yes, her insane music. What is that? I call it the cat flapper mat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats. That's right, it can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it on any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap, rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe, but now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Hee. Okay, that's all we have to ask you, so time to talk to my buddy, my man, Herlock. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its melissonant tones would make flowers bloom. It would? But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even, through the night I have endeavoured, to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone, gone forever, no more recitals of unbridled emotion. When did he turn into Natsume-san? Oh, what a mess. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man. The next, they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh dear. Ah, why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin for me, what is left for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but... your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Mrs. Zato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes, they pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analytoscope? That's at Windybanks for now. Sorry, it's at a windy bank? No, Windybanks, the pawnbrokery. Pawn what? You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you'd consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you. Oh, she's adorable. Dear madam, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How could it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is. It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? Okay, this is a lesson I didn't expect to be learning today, but... what did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. And the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. That is a choice, but okay. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should their need arise. Oh, how ingenious! So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windybanks, you see. Pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Yeah, but isn't the point of a pawnbroker's that people can buy the stuff in there? You would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain. Not me, for sure. Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. yeah, he's still a mood. Oh, what was that? Wagahai? These should be nothing bad. What was that? Oh no! Wagahai's tangled up in your violin! I think he thinks it's a toy. No, what's he doing to it? Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes' precious violin! Why should I care? I mean, in my experience, my cats are very afraid of string instruments, so, you know. What? I shouldn't be surprised. Oh boy, capture card really make it fun for me to edit this later. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Aren't those really rare? Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honourable of you. Also, his depressed talk is way too slow for my reading speed. Come on, Sholmes, give me a break. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there a reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No! There is none! Mr. Sholmes? What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? Has this violin been replaced? What do you mean, Miss Sasato? Oh, Susie's right! Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different! And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. I mean, I was kind of assuming that was just the cat. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? Is it a viola? I thought it looked weirdly large. I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola. I was literally thinking that when he was holding it before because it seemed longer than it should be. Violas. The one in a string quartet that everyone forgets exists. What? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Now your faithful performing partner, then. Also, I love how he didn't notice that. I think I would probably notice if my saxophone got switched out for an entirely different one. Ah, I see what must have happened. You do, Iris. This is just a simple mix-up. It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. I wonder if he pawned his violin and got given a bad viola back in return. Are we about to uncover a weird London crime ring? What did you mean by mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this viola, I mean, was at Winterbank's until last week. At the pawnbrokers? Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East, with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth? I love it. Oh, what a wonderful idea! Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Winterbank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber, apart from when it was 5 minutes ago. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact it just had strings. Huh, a fine state of affairs this is. And why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try and fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. To the pawnbrokers, then? Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect. Pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced? You must visit Mr. Winterbank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Mrs. Zato, without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect? To fresh your egg ever more obtusely? All right, say no more. Let's go then. Don't worry, Reno. I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. Reheated bacon, though. Not good. Do we have anything else to say? Nope, I don't believe so. Let's start by going to Baker Street, since it's given us the choice. Wow, there's really nothing to do except this. Look at all the different things in the window at this shop. Ah, that's Winterbank's, the pawnbrokery. It looks much smarter than pawnbrokers in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favourite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it looks pretty much like a pawn shop does these days, frankly. I guess I should probably call it a pawnbrokers, because the other phrasing for it sounds rather questionable, but it is what it is. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know! To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret. Don't say that, you're gonna get arrested. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Also, I wonder if this closed-up shop is going to end up being a law office later on. Anyway, there doesn't seem to be much else to do, so let's head inside if I can click the right button. So this is a British pawnbrokery. Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Ah, Susato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windibank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. I know it's kind of a mood, but first I want to look around. What are you doing, my dear fellows? We are not here to browse for interesting curios, we have come to teach this broker a lesson. Oh, but there are just so many fascinating items. It looks as though we'll have to talk to Mr. Windibank first before you can explore in here, Mrs. Zato. Darn it. I suppose that doesn't entirely surprise me, but here we go. Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes? This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windibank. The colour of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary from our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There is only one way to make amends. Run away? Okay. That escalated quickly. I just want my violin back, mate. I don't want a crime scene. Yikes. I don't think that will be necessary, do you? If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Ah, yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, "Ah, here it is." You did? Oh, Sholmes. When I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. Oh, what a lovable idiot. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No, 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 stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Well, that's one way out of it. Phew. It would appear that the fight is over. Do we get the real violin back? I do humbly apologise, Mr. Windibank. Evidently my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Sherlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you? Haha, I do believe you may be right, sir. Ha 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 ha. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. Also, is it just me or Marvin Grossberg ancestor? I really need to stop looking for ancestors in this game, it's just really fun. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought in through my door in the past. Oh? Peculiar items? In the extreme, ma'am. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Sherlock Sholmes or some such. Oh my, a new full-fledged novel! And unpublished! A story I have yet to read, you mean? Ah, forgive me! Wait, before you die, you must tell me more! Can you put the gun down? Because this is very uncomfy. I don't like it. I must know more. Tell me everything. Wow, Susato-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windibank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir, not a farthing more. It houses something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. I beg your pardon. A manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I'm confident it will be quite safe here. Seriously, these people trust pawnbrokers way too much. I mean, if you're a pawnbroker, sorry, but also if you are, that lifestyle seems odd to me just because of the chaos that can ensue, I guess. I've seen enough American TV to be vaguely afraid. I'm such a mess today, ignore me. I'm out of practice on this. And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Like, just buy a safe, man, for goodness sake. Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? And then kindly continue to store my belongings. Securely. Well, I guess if you're paying to store them rather than making them available, that's one thing. But again, normally you can just buy stuff from pawnbrokers, can't you? Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. This is all very strange. Yet just a tad. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha, but for your splendid attire, ma'am. 5 guineas, no less. The colours are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokery is used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilise the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure storage. I know that's probably stowage, but I just read it as storage with a bad accent. I totally know what I'm doing. If, in that time, they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. But what happens if they don't pay you the money? Then the items are offered for sale in my shop. As you can see on the shelves behind me. Oh, is that how they work? That makes sense. I totally know what I'm doing. So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed, then? That's right, Mom, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is an absurdity. It is going to lead into him having sold Sholmes' violin, though. One should never talk of one's demise so casually, says the guy who was planning to die all morning. Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. Seriously, me and Ryunosuke are on the same page so often. And let's not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? Ignore that drink break. I engineered a simple device which Mr. Winterbank has installed here in his shop. I call it the red-handed recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Winterbank? Huh. What was that deep sigh about? Did you sell it? Well, now that we've established about the violin, can I have a look around? Because I'm worried I'm going to get timed out at some point. Okay, guess not. Well, we tried. What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. So who's going to break in at 4:01 and then leave at 4:29? Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter in the door behind it. Look! So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madam. Then what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could only say. That would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one, but 2 cameras in my shop, after all. Which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know. My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heaven help us. I don't know what his voice is, other than inconsistent. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Winterbank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry. I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you then, Mr. Winterbank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. Has it? You look stressed. So, Mr. Naruhodo. Now we could explore at last. Great. Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Winterbank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Winterbank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd... Blow his brains out? Indeed, in recompense for his blunder. Okay, I was assuming he would shoot the attacker, but that's one way to do it. Oh my! But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? Oh boy. There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Winterbank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity. Recommended or not, it's not something I intend to do. There is but one key, and Mr. Winterbank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I am a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain. Mood. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder! And the prime suspect of this pawnbrokery is ever burgled. Yeah. Look at this! What could this lovely big shiny box be? That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country. Oh my, yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? What a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There is a metal disc inside in which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, what a simply delightful machine. I would kind of love one. Indeed, and their popularity has reigned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. I love music boxes. Give me more music box merch. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. Yeah, that's valid. What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the items for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest of the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? Never! It embodies my student spirit! Imagine having a university uniform. Although I kind of did, now I say that. I don't know what I'm on about here. Also, I love that we can't talk about the crocodile up there. Capture cards hate her. But, yeah, I've gained a Lonku fire emblems on my lap since that happened, so hopefully he'll stay put, but if anything weird happens with my microphone, it's probably him headbutting it again. Right, back to exploring the pawn shop. Really need to call it a pawnbroker's, but whatever. We all know what I'm saying. Now what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. A stereoscope? Fascinating. It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. Lonku. Oh right, you're getting banished. Come on, Chunk. Oh. Excuse me, he had just decided to shove his entire head into my microphone again. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. Did you really have to be cross-eyed to try those? Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, you must see, at once! Oh, alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. What the? It looked like that jury member. I don't remember which case, but the maid. I don't believe it. Is it not a moving one? It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. You book you for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. Oh. Also, I love how when she was looking at her eyes were like up here and nowhere near the eye holes. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. So he says on the 2nd of November. Oh, I'm a disaster. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windibank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. I mean, I'm assuming this is all leading up to a crime involving this pawn shop, because otherwise... Huh? Look at this! Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. Ah! There's a small catch just here, look! We're going to open it, aren't we? Oh my, that's amazing! It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism, which we'll never manage to put back the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. What? Only tuppence for it? That ain't fair and you know it. The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. Is that Gina? Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. Have you even had a proper butcher's at it? I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Hey, it is Gina. I kind of love her. Wait, don't we know... I'm sure I recognise her. Oh yes, it's the young lady from Mr. McGilder's trial 2 months ago. With a jam of a theme, honestly. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. Go on, Bennett, you lot. Hello, Mr. Lestrade. I hope you've been well. Eh? What, you remember me then, do ya? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So, what are you doing in here? Down now, like the rest of us. Nothing to eat. Come to pot that black coat, have ya? What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Ah, good day, unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Windibank on your behalf. Pull the other one. I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on, or I'll make trouble for you. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone. I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What is that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc. Is it for the music box? And you! Go on, leave me alone! Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Zato-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever. Somehow, I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade. Yeah, well, I am alright. I'm a Londoner just like everyone else. That a problem, is it? No, not at all. It's just that, well... Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably got it on the dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy case. Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright then, I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people? Well, I don't know how best to answer that, really. Suppose. Sometimes. You're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade. But not this time, alright? I swear. That thing belongs to me. The disc that Mr. Windibank is holding. Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. Mr. Windibank, what exactly is this metal disc that Mr. Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface. Ah, this is a music disc, you see, for use inside a music box. In a music box? What, you don't even know what a music box is? Huh, you Eastern lot ain't too savvy, eh? I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of these discs before. The small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. Do we get to listen to it? I hope we do. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are so many different types of music box, you see. British-made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. Ah, I see. And that's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a packet of lies. He told me he did. He said it was... well... He? Who? Never you mind. It just ain't right, that's all. That disc's worth good money. I know it is. Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you? Ugh. She's been in before, of course, this little tatterdemalion. I see. And brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me. So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. Ah, a storage ticket, so... Mr. Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing. Alright, yes, that's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight. But as she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her. But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Windibank. The little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So what about the disc then? How does that come into all this? Ah, the disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I can agree a price. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say. For this heavy black coat, which she returned to her care, as I'd understood it. That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it? If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, Mom. And she immediately tried to pawn it. For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up. I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Mr. Strad, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me. It doesn't really appear to be your size. Me old man. It's me old man's, ain't it? Is it Mr. Strad? Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious. Out of my way, please. Oh, hello. Who's this picture postcard English gentleman? Who does he remind me of? Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen. What's your problem, eh? There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve. Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with him yet. If you think it's such a gent, you should know how to wait in line. It is very British to know how to queue, but I suppose entitled white guy... Yeah. Well, you are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket. Eh? Who are you? How did you know who I am? The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems. What? You mean from you? Broker? Yes, sir? I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, the article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Oh my! Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say... What is that pose? Any music box discs too? No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's. Or it was. Now it's mine. Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation. Yeah. I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. Should we? Okay. Mr. Strad, is what the gentleman is saying... What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now. No, I swear it. I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I am a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these back-slum scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Ugh. Come along now, Mr. Strad. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on, why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove. You think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? Evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman. Of course, we need only consult Mr. Winterbank's ledger to know the truth. we'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Oh? I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine. Why? But why not? Also, can't you look at the camera that Sholmes installed from when they dropped it off? It was on the half hour. Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity. Yes, I see. But then, how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course, it's... Professor. I mean, A, dramatic, very nice, but B, did he not ask Gina this? Yes, that's right, and all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt. A watchword? Interesting. So, about these watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. Hello again, Sholmes. Also, is that the Thinker in the background? Is that a Hecking Ace Attorney 1 reference? Because if so, I don't like it. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets. None at all. Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And how the heck did you end up giving it to Gina? And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article. That's right, sir, yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt. The article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on the 15th of February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But how? Really, this is beyond a joke now. There is no further room for doubt. If I were Gina, I'd run at this point. Ugh. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. What was that? Mate? Okay. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-coloured soup dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you're a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. My name is Sasato Mikotaba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Eggert Benedict. Oh, for goodness sake. Of course it is. Oh boy. What is this, sister location? Enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once. to someone with the style to carry it off. Ugh. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him. That's kind of relatable, honestly. He's ridiculous. Aw. Disappointing. So, let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. Oh, he looks like Nina. I wonder if he's also a dancer, but I don't know how that would work. Ugh, this is why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir, here is the disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc. Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited to me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you? Says who, eh? I don't know nothing about it. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. I did when you walked into the room. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. Ah! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. That man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, alright? I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Or you take it. Me? If I hang on to it, they'll have it off me again. So you keep hold of it. Mr. Strad, why is this disc so important to her? And why is he letting us take it? You there, in the black livery. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars. Ugh, what do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? Are we going to end up in a civil trial? Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict. When Mr. Strad tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ouch, just thinking about it hurts. And puts me off eating radish. Oh, hello. Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc, look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded. McGilded? It couldn't be. But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? Then can we take possession of it as McGilded's lawyer? Okay. Well, that's fun to know, I guess. Mr. Winterbank's clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. Wow, Mr. Strad is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. We need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Are we gonna have to drag Sholmes into this? Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. Help me, Sholmes. Sholmes, help me. Mr. Sholmes, what are you examining with such keen interest there? Are you enjoying a bar of caramel? I see. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry. After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observe, gnawing on the only friend I have left, the 7% solution of caramel. Gosh, that's a mood. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then, why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. Ugh, extroverts. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration, but who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Mr. Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Yeah, let's listen. This is going to be a long episode, but whatever. We're back. Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. So, where the blue blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a cute gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later. Harsh. Also, how's it been an hour? And who, pray tell, are you? I do like his raised eyebrow face, to be fair. Mr. Eggert Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah yes, as I had hoped. This is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Mystery Man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. It's the thing in his hand, isn't it? As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. Oh, the staff has a different name. AG. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot. I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. I mean, okay, Sholmes, okay. The end of any walking cane will be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet a detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of the stick to be utterly bare. Because you really needed a detailed analysis for that. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. Ooh, is it a sword? I hope it's a sword. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle, mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod. Is the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What? What calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Am I remembering this completely wrong, or was that an actual thing in a Holmes story? Where someone took a job and then dug underneath to reach a bank vault or something? That sounds familiar. I could be completely wrong, but if that's a reference, Cart will probably let me know. Do we get to correct this now, or...? Oh, no, okay. We're just keeping going with this. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? I can't take you seriously at all. Some long-lost forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. And your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notes of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath the shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway. That flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you... In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I I have no idea what you're talking about. Are we about to give the criminal an idea? Sorry, alleged criminal. My mistake. How could I ever suspect Eggert Benedict of anything untoward? Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway. See, that's what I was kind of assuming this case would be about, but no, here we are on this nearly 2-hour-long offshoot into the pawnbroker. Because of course! And the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top-secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. Well done, Sherlock. Sorry, Herlock. The real Sherlock Holmes would never be that dumb. Oh, I love him. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. Before we absolutely destroy that, I'm going to go get a blanket because I'm cold. Oh boy, my voice is taking a beating recording these episodes. I forget how much they ruin me. Oh, I love this game so much, but oh boy does speaking everything and editing it take it out of me. Anyway, in case I didn't read it before, thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Mood. Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in the strictest confidence. Oh boy. But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact. Ah. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal. What if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Winterbank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh, my life. I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them. Oh, hiccups. Once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. Weird phrase there, but okay. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Sherlock Holmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. For the sake of my voice, I'm not going to read anything that I know I've seen. I don't really know what the answer is here, but nice picture of a dog in the background. Vongoli, is that you? Is that Clams the dog? Anyway, so by Mr. Sholmes's reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here to this particular point in time? Was it to pawn the cane? Oh, hello. Oh, the cute doodle.
Take that!
Those notes were scored by somebody famous, and as such are worth a considerable sum of money. Oh, do we have to examine it first? I hate it when that happens. I hate when it doesn't remind me that examining things is an option. Don't understand why he came today. He might look like a smartly dressed man, but perhaps he's destitute really. And it probably is the only explanation. Oh, look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness! There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Winterbank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline, 15th of April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Oh, of course now it's presentable. I hate this game sometimes.
Take that!
Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Winterbank's Pawnbrokery here. Ah! They're also really showing off the initials on the cane in that shot. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Winterbank's Pawnbrokery, and today, the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. Huh. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutched to your person exhibits an uncontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot. Okay, I don't need to read that. What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane. The bit that makes a nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yeah, doesn't have one. I'm not really bothering to read this because it's fairly obvious. Look here, Mrs. Zato. There are some letters on the handle. Ah yes, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously. Oh. AG. Why does it feel as though that's not quite right? 'Cause it isn't.
Take that!
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? If that even is your real name. We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that she'd had that cane for years. Ugh. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name, not just his true last name, his true whole name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? Truth behind the rod you bear. Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Mr. Stroud redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. And now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Mr. Stroud from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Oh, is that what we're trying to prove here? Okay. Oh, rip. I'm just examining everything now to be careful. Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart, look! So it is. Do you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of the seam ripping open. I did notice that, actually. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If you were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought.
Take that!
The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name, and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ugh! This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Winterbank. Ugh! But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. So it'll be to do with the music disc, I guess. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details, n'est-ce pas? Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. So he's looking at the ledger, I guess. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn such a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. This method is revealed by the council note. Yeah, no, it's not. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunnelling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Winterbank would never allow you to redeem the article. Again, did Gina not know it, therefore reasonably prove that it could have been hers? Or looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Winterbank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Show me the ledger. I can't actually look at the ledger. The notelet, maybe? Look at this, Mr. Sato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterbank has scribbled himself. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Winterbank must make a note of the watchwords his customer gives him right before their eyes. And in alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Well, it'll be that then.
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, to the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. Okay, so he wrote it down when Gina said it and then checked the ledger. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. I mean, I'd expect rather a more intricate level of security from a diligent pawnbroker, but okay. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Winterbank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from young Mrs. Lestrade. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. And naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Winterbank isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. I mean, I wonder.
Take that!
I guess this is where we're meant to figure out it belonged to the Gilded, but you know. You see, this music box just tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, former Gilded. Ugh. Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded. The unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Ugh. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Ugh. Ah! Okay. Well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Miss Sazato. Well, according to what Mr. Winterbank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Has he been dead longer than 2 months? Well, today is the 15th of April, so 2 months ago today would have been the 15th of February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m, I see. What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th of February is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. Weird. Was it meant to be an alibi, or... You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose, however. Oh! We must insist you hand over the music box disc now. And on that note, I think we will end this episode before it gets too ridiculously long. It already is, but this seems like a fun stopping point. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, assuming we don't get shot. Goodbye!